This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
News, laws, and regulations are changing by the day. We get it. And at ADP, we're here to help guide you with up-to-the-minute compliance expertise, so you can pay your people accurately and on time, regardless of what each new day may bring. Learn more at adp.com.
I just wanted to let you know before we start the podcast that I am doing an online podcast course, how to be able to create, get your guests, scale it and monetize it. So please do go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and go into the contact us bit. I'm looking for new people to be able to be a podcast creator and really to be able to develop their skills and knowledge into a podcast. So as I said, go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and sign up. Thanks.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset Podcast, created and hosted by Mark Hayward. This podcast will help and support you with new ideas about business. These are my thoughts, ideas, and comments. Today, we have Mac Attram, who is an entrepreneur, investor, and business coach. Hello, Mac. How are you?
Hi, Mark. Thank you for inviting me onto this podcast.
Absolute pleasure. When I was doing my research on you, yeah. I like to think I cover a lot of ground within the business scope, but actually you've done a lot of different things and you've done a wide variety of different things within business. So I'm hopefully we're going to have a great conversation.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, awesome. So let's go back to the origin story of your education. So you went to Croydon Business School. Yeah, and did business, and then followed that up with an MBA at the University of West London. So, were you a good student?
I think let's rewind back a little bit further than that. So I like most families, like most parents, my parents told me, go to school, study hard, yeah, and that will lead you to a great job. And so I wasn't a great student. No, I wasn't an A grade student. I wasn't a B grade student. I was more of a C grade student. That's where I was. And, I liked school. I liked the friends, but studying, it wasn't my thing. But when I did my exams in those days in the UK, they're called O-levels. So I did O-levels.
Right, okay.
And I think I got, was it 4 O-levels? And I needed 5 O-levels to do 3 A-levels. Okay. So the particular sixth form I went to would allow me to do 2 A-levels. I passed one of those, I failed one of those. And so I was in a quandary. What do I do now? Because in my head, do I want to go to university? Yes, maybe. But my parents were very big on education. Education is critical. You have to... And so their intention was that I go to university, but I couldn't get in. So I applied to Croydon Business School, which is part of Croydon College, right. For an HND, what do they call it? Higher National Diploma in Business. Yeah. So I was accepted on that. And so I spent 2 years doing that. And again, and actually I quite liked that because it brought out certain instincts in me, which was good. So I got good results and I got distinction in that. So the highest grades you can get. Different from school, I think, because it's more practical and more useful. And I could see the point of it, where I couldn't see the point of physics or couldn't see the point of chemistry, but I could see the point of business. So after that, I went into employment. I actually got employed. I got taken on as a graduate management trainee by a large retail company. So they took me on as a graduate trainee, trained me in management, which is fantastic. But in my head, I still haven't been to university. So after a couple of years with them, I decided that, look, it's good to get a degree. So I applied part-time. I applied to do was it flexible or part-time, I think it was called, or distant learning, the University of West London. At the time, it was called Thames Valley University.
Okay.
And so my thing when I went into them, I said, okay, they said, well, you haven't got a first degree. What kind of degree you want to do? I said, I want to do your master's degree in business administration. I want to do the MBA, because I'm thinking, why should I play small when I could go all the way? I'm going to do it eventually. Yeah. So I blagged my way in, if you like. I had a meeting, and then they had an interview process. Yeah. And why should we accept you on our MBA program? Well, a lot of your students have been degree graduates. They've got no practical experience in the real world. Yeah. I've been managing people for the last 2 years, teams of 20, 40, 100, 200 people. Yeah. I have experience in management. And so they took me on the basis that I've got practical experience. I've got an H&D as well, so I know a bit about business. And I went through that. And this was tough. Yeah. This was tough because I'm working full-time now, Mark. Right. And I'm studying on a distant learning level. So each evening I'm studying. So, and yeah, I passed. Okay. So that was my journey into all of that.
And what did you find the MBA? So what areas was it? What areas did it cover for you, or what was most significant for you that you learned from?
It was very much. I got an idea of, from a theoretical level, how business works, but what I didn't get in hindsight is how entrepreneurialism works. Yeah. What I realized the MBA prepared me for was to be a very good middle manager or senior manager somewhere. Yeah. And I did that for a few years, but it didn't really prepare me for the real hard nitty-gritty grafting of entrepreneurialism. And I say that because you would know, Mark, that there's a big difference between academic qualification and entrepreneurial success. Two different things. Yeah. And so when you say what it prepared me for, I'll tell you where it prepared me for, actually. It didn't prepare me for success as an entrepreneur, but what it did do is I was very good at presenting maybe a business, good at creating business forecasting or cash flow forecasting or spreadsheets and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But from sales, from marketing, from customer service, from all that kind of stuff, no.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hi, I'm Alex, the host of X Health Show. Meet the future of healthcare. Think X-Men, that's X Health. Actual superheroes behind programming living cells to cure cancer once and for all. Tech that detects preterm delivery in seconds, brain-computer interface, or apps that employ AI to match you, your disease, with the best treatment. X Health Show brings to you visionaries who push the boundaries of healthcare from Switzerland, the heart of Europe and the most innovative country in the world. Let me introduce you to their startups. Head to X Health Show, meet the future of healthcare. Happy to greet you there.
That's really interesting because I think a lot of people do MBAs for a particular reason, whether they want to change their jobs or whether they want to get a promotion or they want to do something significant. But they were designed for the corporate world, for the business world. It was never designed for an entrepreneur to learn the foundations of building a business. It was built for managing a business already created.
Absolutely. And so I think at the time when I did that program, I think I was still on the verge of still working my way through management. And it's only after a few years I've realized, actually, no, this is not for me. I want to do my own thing. It was interesting, Joan. I don't regret it.
So your first couple of roles was in retail. Why did you start in retail?
Good question. When I finished my H&D, I started looking at, I knew I was going to go into employment. I didn't want to go and do a degree just yet. I wanted to go into employment. And I went on I think they call it the milk round. So I went to various milk rounds and graduate fairs and shows. And there was a number of companies that I was interested in. And I think it was that company that took me on as a graduate trainee. That's how I landed in that, I think. It could have been any other. I was looking for management positions or trainee management positions, and it's that company that took me on, and I grabbed it, I think, the first thing that came along.
Oh, good. I must admit, shamefully, I went to those milk rounds to the graduation fairs and came home with lots of brochures and lots of sort of thoughts in my mind, but it never really focused my mind into anything. But that's my story. That's for another time to talk about my story. Anyway, so you then became a lecturer at the Open University. So just for our listeners who are not in the UK, Open University is a university which is distant learning and very reputable in many different areas. But how did you get to become a lecturer there?
You've really done your research, I can see.
I have, yes.
You are on the button. Let me tell you the story of what happened. Okay, so remember, the company that took me on, Tesco PLC, took me on as a graduate management trainee. I worked with them, and I got promoted several times, and I was with that company for 7 years. And after 7 years, I felt, well, I'm not growing. I feel I need to do something else. And I was taken on by another company, another retail company, and I stayed there for 2 years. And after that, and it was every time it was higher salary, and everything was looking good. And then the final company, because in my whole employee career, I only spent 10 years. And in the final company, I stayed there for 1 year. And company car, good perks, bonuses, all fantastic. But I had this yearning that actually, maybe it's not the companies, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to do my own thing. Mm. And so enough was enough. I remember I started thinking about what business, okay, it's going to be a business I'll go into. I'm not going to go into another company. Mm. And I started researching what could I go into. And after several months, I felt it was, okay, I'm going to go into the internet space. I'm going to go into the computing space, the IT space. And I started to learning about, so this is 1999 going into 2000. I started learning about internet web design and e-commerce and all this kind of stuff.
This is my next question about your role in digitalactive.com.
Yeah. So
you did it through the tech bubble. You
absolutely. It's all exactly. And there's the .com bubble. But in 1999, early 1999, it was towards the end of 1999, it was the .com bubble and all the rest of it. But preceding that, internet was a future. And you remember dial-up and things dialed up. I mean, the things were slow, but the future was coming. Yeah. So I thought so I went into a trend what I thought was appropriate. And what happened was, and it was my first business, it took me a while to get clients. I started getting clients and we started to grow. And I had two men business partners. And eventually what happened was, one was responsible for marketing, sales and marketing. One was responsible for the operation in terms of computer networking and the operations of the business. And my responsibility was general management as well as financial, that kind of stuff. Both business partners disappeared. I mean, absconded, gone, and money missing from the company.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, it was a mess. So now they've left me in this hole. And I don't both lived in the area in North London. I live in West London. And I'm traveling 1.5 hours on the A406, 1.5 hours there and back.
Yeah.
And I ended up working 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week to make the business work. I found myself having to inject money into the business. I was now over 100,000 US dollars in debt. At a time, it was around 60 or 70,000 pounds in debt. Money I owed other people. This wasn't good debt. And things weren't going right. Now, I'm trying to fix my business and think, okay, I've got to pay these staff. I've got to pay my employees. How am I going to do it? I've got to look after my family. I had a young, we were only married for a few short years by then, and things weren't going right. And we had one child, and my wife was pregnant with our second child. And I'm hardly at home because of this business.
Yeah.
So in order to pay some of my bills, I restructured my team slightly and said, look, these two business partners have gone. Don't want to mention their names. Can you take care of this, take care of that, take care of that? So I would finish in the office. I would then, in answer to your question, I would lecture part-time in the evening, 2 evenings a week,
right,
pay my bills.
Right.
That's how I got into that. It's not that I wanted to be a lecturer. It's because I had this MBA, and a friend of mine was telling me that they're looking for associate lecturers at the Open University. And I went and spoke to them, and they said, oh, well, you're highly qualified. You're grounded in business as well. And yeah, would love to have you on. So now I'm supplementing my business income with employment income to pay my way.
And was it interesting to do the education side, or was it just a means to an end for you?
What, to teaching the MBA program?
University, yeah.
Here's the funny thing, right? How life works and how things come about. I told you about the struggles I had in early on in business, and synchronistically, I don't know what a word is, but it just coincidentally, I found myself lecturing, and I found myself actually enjoying helping people and teaching people.
Right.
And I fell into that by accident.
Right.
And no wonder that later on, when, I've got, right, today we own several businesses. One's a multi-million-pound real estate property business. We have a training and coaching business. I've trained over 100,000 people in over 30 countries around the world. Mm. But that all came from the back of me trying to pay my bills and pay my way, doing lecturing twice a week to supplement my income, realizing that actually I quite enjoy this. I quite enjoy helping people to improve their life and improve what they're trying to do. And so that's how that came about.
So thank you for answering that. But with digiactive.com, what happened to the company in the end? Did you sell it? Did you fold it?
Yeah. So in the end, what I did was I sold the assets of the company. I sold the I can't say I sold the clients, but I sold the database. I sold everything with a thing. And so that freed me up to do other things. So so that's what happened. Okay.
What I'm trying to introduce into my podcast is sort of mixing it up instead of just going through your sort of career.
Yeah.
So to mix it up, what books would you say have been critical for your success?
When I was struggling, I was trying to figure out a way to get on with my life and business. The two books that really helped me was one of the books was called Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill,
absolutely is. Someone recommended it, and so I went and read it. Good book. The other book was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened was this: in the midst of going through struggling, can't pay my bills, in debt, I came to a realization I've got to figure out how successful people became successful. How did they do it? Why is it I've got an MBA? I did what they said. I went to school. I studied as hard as I could. I worked my butt off, and I'm here now in this position, in this situation. And so those two books made a big difference. But I started devouring personal and professional development books, business books, professional development books, in order to improve my situation. But those two books early on, I think, made a significant difference in terms of changing my mindset. And so my mindset became not only about having a great business, but because I wasn't around much in the early days of my first daughter, and my wife was pregnant with our second daughter, my whole thing was, now I just want freedom. I want financial freedom.
Yeah.
And so those type of books really helped me to create, to really focus on building assets and cash flow in assets.
Yeah.
And so that's the angle I went down.
So I have to make an admission, which I've admitted before. I'd never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad until literally 2020.
Oh, really?
It was on my bucket list. I knew it was good, but it was always like I just kept on putting off. But it's actually that whole concept of building assets rather than liabilities, and building a bank of assets to have that idea of financial freedom has been incredibly powerful to me. So, and when I was doing some research on you, I found a quote from Robert Kiyosaki about you.
Oh, what did he say?
I can't remember what the quote is. I didn't put the quote down. But have you met him? Did you meet Robert?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's a funny thing. I keep saying this is a funny thing. His books, Cash Flow Quadrant, others, changed my life dramatically. Yeah. So we're talking about in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, where I was trying to figure out things, and I changed my situation from being heavily in debt and broke to changing financially totally, to becoming financially, in my opinion, more financially successful. Mm. And in 2007, 2006 onwards, 2007, I started helping people on a one-to-one basis. So people that say, look, I'm stuck in my business. I'm not sure what to do here. What do you think? So I'd coach them.
Yeah.
And often it was for free. I just helped them out. And I took it more seriously. I realized that people actually get paid to train others. So I went from one-on-one to one to a few in a workshop scenario to one to many. But now, when I was traveling each month recently, it was 1 to 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 people. And this is what happened in 2010. Prior to 2010, I was doing that only in London and the UK.
Yeah.
In 2010, someone introduced me to the organization that promotes Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
And suddenly I found myself right now, and I've been on 11 international tours around the world with Robert Kiyosaki, where he'll teach about wealth creation through real estate, property, and he'll bring me on and I'll talk about business and all that, and entrepreneurism, that kind of stuff. So he was a mentor, if you like, to me. He was a guru to me, to now sharing the stage with him, and we are friends.
Oh, that's amazing. He's a great guy. Great guy. I've since reading that book, the amount of sort of YouTube stuff which I found so useful from him, and I know I was late to the party, but it's really been a game changer for me on my entrepreneurial journey of building up. So I'm very envious that you can call Robert your friend, your mentor. I think that's fantastic. Happy when lockdown clears to jump, or even now jump on a Zoom call with Robert. You know what I mean? I'm quite open to that. No, I'm kidding. So we talked about the books that were critical to you. You're also an author of a few books. So tell me a little bit about that and the process. Was it an easy process? Was it a hard process to write the books?
This is the first book I actually wrote was in combination with a a group of friends. We belong to the same mastermind team. So we wrote a book called The Power of Masterminding.
Yeah.
You've read Think and Grow Rich, so you know. What I found about Think and Grow Rich was, although it's a great book, I had this burning question: so how do I create this mastermind? How do you do that? And so we kind of figured it out, and we would meet every couple of weeks, and and then our whole process, I'll put it in a book for anyone who wants to create their own mastermind. And that was in 2006. In 2010, because I'd been on this journey of creating my own success, and people kept asking me, Mac, how did you turn around your position? How did you turn around your situation where you're struggling to where you are now? And so I sat down, I put it all in this book here called The Inspired Warriors Code.
Okay, yeah.
So 7 universal principles for achieving your unique greatness. Now, was it an easy journey to write the book, you said?
Yeah.
No. It's painstakingly hard. Yeah. So much so that I had the idea, I started jotting things down, and also the key thing for me was having an editor and a book coach who would help me on the way. Right. So like anything else, one thing I've discovered over many years is if someone's already done it and they're very good at it, like we talk about Robert Kiyosaki, if he's already figured out how to be wealthy, why don't I study his stuff, and why don't I just do what he suggests? So one thing, if I can't do something, I'm going to find someone who can support me and help me in that journey. And so that's how I gave birth to this book. In 2016, up to then, I've been teaching entrepreneurialism, business. I've been teaching success principles and wealth and that kind of stuff. People kept asking me, Matt, can you help me with my business? Can you help me with my business? So I sat down, because people kept asking the same questions over and over again. I wrote this book, which became a #1 international bestseller, called Face It and Fix It: How to Avoid Disaster and Turn Around Your Struggling Business. Now, T. Harv Eker, who's the author of a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, he said, Face It and Fix It is the shot in the arm that every owner of a struggling business needs. And so in 2016, launched this on Amazon. And in the very first week, we sold over 36,000 copies.
Oh, congratulations.
And we became a #1 international bestseller. So thank you. So again, what I did with this, I researched. The reason why I wrote this book is I looked at, because at one point, one of my businesses was failing. And I felt, okay, there must be thousands of businesses going through the same thing. I researched, why do businesses actually fail? Why do businesses fail? And I realized that there are 43 different reasons why any business fails. 43 different reasons. And so I put it all in the book. And then what I did was I also put solutions behind how you So if you know you're going through this and you're heading for failure, this is how you resolve it. This is how you overcome it. And then I'll put some case studies in about companies who were struggling, who were near breaking point failure to turning it around. I've got stories in there. And so again, ideas, putting it down. And then what happened was early last year, I started writing this book, The Millionaire Moment. And The Millionaire Moment, which this was published, I published it early, just before COVID, actually, just before COVID. And this is a story about my rags to riches story. So how did I turn my situation around from being broke to becoming a millionaire? What happened? What did I do? And a lot of it was to do with how I thought and how I behaved. And so realizing that a lot of it is about the science of success, the science of how your mind works. And a lot of it is interjected with my stories and what I did and how I overcome that. So it's a great book as well. So again, any book I'm going to write, I'm going to get the general concept and idea of what I'm going to write. And I work with a book coach to help me birth it. Because left to my own devices, I would stall and stall and stall. So this one actually took more than 2 years of stalling to say, okay, look, because by that time I was so busy traveling internationally. I've got to get it done.
Yeah, it's interesting because a couple of people have said to me the fact that I should write a book because someone described it really, really good, and I hadn't thought of this, that where the word author comes from is from the word authority.
Correct.
And I hadn't thought of that before. And so, yeah, it's on my sort of to-do list. I must admit, it's well down on the list of things to do. But yeah, I think it's interesting to hear your sort of the fact that you employed people to really have accountability, be able to give you skills, be able to get you, and to have 4 books out is brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
So I'm going to jump around a little bit now. You have 30 years worth of martial arts experience.
Yeah, over 35 years now. Yeah, I'm a 5th Dan black belt in Taekwondo martial arts. I'm a former UK champion in Taekwondo as well. And so so for the past, let me see, I'm 50 years of age now, right? I've been practicing. Thank you.
Really don't look it.
Thank you. And I've been practicing martial arts since I was the age of 13. And I'll tell you how I got into that. When I was young, at the age of 13, at the age of 12, 13, the area that I lived in South London growing up wasn't the most savory of places. So people would chase me down the road and beat me up and attempt to beat me up, that kind of stuff, for different reasons, not for anything I've done, just because they didn't like me or they didn't like the color of my skin or whatever. And so to protect myself and just to survive, I enrolled in the afternoon judo classes at school. My friends were playing the playground football, and I'll enroll in that. And what happened, funnily enough, in less than a year or so, after a few months, when I realized people even tried to attack me, I was so confident that I dealt with the situation without anyone getting hurt. Wow. So now what that martial arts did for me was develop confidence and a trait of character and discipline where I could handle myself, put it that way. And so this is a characteristic that I've taken through all my life since then, in terms of whenever I had a struggle, it's always, I think it's the martial arts discipline that's always carried me through, in terms of don't give up, don't stop. There is a way, there must be a way. Fall down twice, pick yourself up, fall down, pick yourself up. And so I think that's helped, so much so that, our whole family, including my wife and my 3 children, are all black belts.
Wow.
They're all black belts.
That's amazing.
Because I've never, apart from, maybe a year or 2 here and there where things weren't going right, I stopped practicing. But apart from that, I've always gone back to it. I've always gone back into it. So, my wife, in a couple of weeks, will be grading for a second black belt, a second degree black belt, with my second daughter will be doing the same. And my son next year will be going for his second degree black belt. So it's something that the whole family just kind of picked up and continue and run with as well.
Fantastic. So when I was doing some reading on you, you said you want to educate, inspire, and empower business owners. So these are pretty heady things to have an inspiration. You say it's your purpose to be able to educate, inspire, and empower.
Yeah.
So do you do that through coaching, or do you do that? You talked about being a public speaker, an international public speaker. What's the sort of mechanisms do you have in your businesses that is able to educate, inspire, and empower?
Sure. Great question, Mark. Thank you for that question. When someone's really done their research, you can tell. It's like, oh my God, where did you dig all that up? So I'll tell you why. There was a time, I told you the story where things weren't going so well for me, and I was struggling, and I was broke, and for me, it was the worst time of my life, I think. And because I wasn't seeing my young family, I wasn't seeing my firstborn. And there was a time when I was driving back from Enfield, North London, where my office was, and 5 minutes from my home, I stopped the car in the shopping centre car park and just stopped. And that evening, I just didn't want to go home. Just so much going through my mind. Just about 7. I put it in this. It's in the book actually here, The Millionaire Moment. And it must have been around 7:45 in the evening. And I remember I had my hands on the wheels and I was going through this breakdown, feeling really sorry for myself as to how did I get here? How did I get to a place where my life is not what I thought it would be at this age? I'm struggling. I'm $100,000 in debt. I can't pay my bills. Things are not going right. What am I going to do? And in that moment, that's when I said, okay, I've got to understand how successful people created success in business, in wealth, and whatever. And so I went on this journey and I started going to workshops and seminars and reading all these books. And there was a point where in one of the workshops, something came to me, which was, okay, what I want to do is help other people who are going through or who would have gone through similar things that I've been through. And in that moment, I said, I went through this thing whereby I said, I made a commitment. I remember I made a commitment and a vow that if I can get through this and I can become financially successful, I'm going to dedicate and commit the rest of my entire life helping as many people around the world have exactly the same thing, so they don't have to go through the pain that I went through. And in that moment, through one of these workshops, I wrote down my mission statement.
Right.
That mission statement was simply, for the rest of my life, as long as I'm breathing, is to inspire, educate, and empower people to live a life of joy, courage, passion, and purpose. To live a life of joy, courage, passion, and purpose. And that's why, so how do I deliver that in terms of the inspire, educate, and empower? So from that point, any business that I got into, I asked myself, if this is my mission, and this is my mission for the rest of my life, any project or business I get into, does that actually answer that mission? Mm-hmm. So if I'm writing this book, does that inspire, educate, and empower? Yes, I'll write the book. If Mark invites me onto his podcast, does that actually deliver my mission? Yes, it does. So I will go in there and see whatever I can inspire, educate, or empower, whatever that looks like. I run workshops, I run seminars. I've got online programs. I've got business programs. I've got wealth creation programs. So all of those things answer my mission and it fits in. And for me, it's that thread that runs through everything that I do.
And you're a chairman and CEO of Mac Attram group of companies. What's the group of companies? What is your?
We have different. So we have. I told you we have a real estate property business. We have 3 different real estate property businesses. We have a letting agency. We have serviced apartments. We have got apartments around the Heathrow area. Right. We have a training and coaching company. And that training and coaching company is called Mindspace Associates. And we have an investment arm as well, where we invest in businesses, we invest in assets such as gold and cryptocurrency and that kind of stuff.
So you've totally diversified your businesses.
So this is the good thing as well, because for the last 10 years, I've been saying to people, don't rely on just one particular income. You've got to set up, and this came from Rich Dad Poor Dad. It came from The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind from T. Harv Eker, whereby if you don't have a stream of passive income, then you are leaving yourself open to, and I don't want to go back to where I was previously. Mm-hmm. And so all the time I'm looking at how do I create more assets. And so when COVID hit, I didn't panic. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a state of panic because we have things set up that it creates income on an ongoing basis for us. Even in our real estate business, our service departments, which attracted holiday makers from various parts of the world into Heathrow, that dried up. So what did we do? That team, which is headed by my wife, by the way, contacted a local authority, contacted the local hospitals and said, look, we've got these apartments there. If you've got people traveling from around the countries for the NHS and all that, and those things are rented out. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
It does, and so I've started investing in properties. I've got 4. I'm looking to expand another few in sometime in 2020, and I must admit I was worried about tenants, like whether I think the furlough scheme has worked quite well. I still think we could still suffer from people being made redundant when that drops off. So I was really concerned initially because, as you said, and I'd thought of that plan, like NHS people, especially if they've been brought into new areas, they need places to stay, and it was a great thing. That's what I think is really interesting, because from a business point of view, being able to pivot and be able to slightly change your emphasis due to situations and circumstances which are outside your control is a lot of the success in business is being able to adapt, change, evolve, to be successful for a long time.
Yeah, and I agree with you totally, because if any of your listeners are thinking of getting into business, know that no 2 days are the same. And you could say that about employment, but this is on a different extreme in terms of figuring out where the client's going to come from, how you're going to pay the bills. I mean, you can't call the IT department. You can't call HR. You've got to figure it out. Okay, you've got to do the sales. You've got to do the marketing. Until you build up a team that can take care of that. Yeah. But every day you're figuring it out, because no 2 days are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's part of the fun of the journey as well, isn't it?
Exactly. I'm actually leaving my corporate job next month.
Well, congratulations.
To fully fledged go into my entrepreneurial endeavors. So, and I'm starting to realize, you start realizing that, as you say, there's no HR, there's no, it's very hard to, like, obviously we might have coaches and things, but it is all on you. Essentially, if it's your business, the buck stops with you. So it's very exciting. It's sometimes challenging, but definitely exciting as well. Okay. So when I was doing some reading, some more reading about you, because you just do so many different things. It was just really fascinating. I saw that you do boot camps and business retreats.
Yeah, I mean, when you say I do so many different things, it looks that way, but it's focused in a very. In the various businesses I have a good team of people who run it.
Right.
I love business. I love entrepreneurialism, but my main passion is not real estate or these other businesses. My passion is business, but my purpose, as I said, my mission, my purpose is really to help other people.
Right.
And so the particular niche that I chose was business, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So we run entrepreneurial programs and business programs. We run business boot camps. We run business retreats. But again, it's focused on helping that business owner or that entrepreneur become even more successful than they are.
So my question about boot camps and business retreats, what do people learn, or how do people learn differently going on a retreat or going on a boot camp versus doing a course or doing a year's mentorship? What do you bring to the entrepreneur that wants to go on a boot camp?
Very good. Good question. So there are different ways of learning, and we all have different ways of learning. Boot camps are very intensive. In other words, let me give you a scenario. I have people who come to my boot camp when we were running them. Obviously, through COVID, we can't do it. But when they come, I've set up the scenario. I've set up the it's not about a lecture. It's not about you sitting there and just making notes. I actually put you into business situations. I put you into sales situations, marketing situations, team situations, leadership situations. And now you're going to have to make a decision or do something. Now, based on the outcome of that, then you're going to think, oh, I thought I knew this, but actually I don't know it. Now you're ready to listen. So I'm saying to you, so Mark, you did this project, you led this team. What happened just now? And then your team's giving you feedback. Or I'm saying, okay, we're doing a sales thing. Here's a sales exercise. And you thought you knew it. But now, now I'm teaching, it's going to go in. So the boot camp is about facing what's going to happen in the real world anyway, getting the answers up front so you know how you behave, how you think, how you behave in certain circumstances and situations. So when the real world comes in, okay, now at least I've got a process that Max taught me. I've got a system that I can follow. I've got this template that I can follow. So it's not for the faint-hearted. We've had people who come on our 3-day boot camps and not come back after the first day.
Wow.
And guess what? I know they're not going to succeed in business.
Yeah, exactly.
I know they're not going to succeed because if you can't do it here, don't go into business because it's going to get this is the mild side of it. This is just preparing you. Yeah. And the retreats that I run, the millionaire business retreats are very much based on the way I live and the way I live my life. And so for 5 days, you'll live like me. For 5 days, I help you build your business. Mm. So we're up at 6:30 in the morning. First thing, you're going through my morning routine. And my morning routine is through meditation and prayer and visualization and gratitude process. And we're going to go through my martial arts exercises that I do. And we're going to have the hot water and lemon and ginger to start cleansing you. We're going to you're going to have a short break, 9 a.m. You're going to come back in class. We're going to go through the structured teaching on building your business. So I help you build your business. So you become, what I say to people is this. Business is about, your business, your wealth, your success will only grow to the extent that you grow. Let me repeat. Your business, your wealth, your success will only grow to the extent that you grow. Yeah. So when I run these retreats, it's about you growing yourself in order to grow your business or your wealth. And if you can't do that, there is nothing's going to change.
Fascinating. One of my podcast friends would probably not be happy with me if I didn't mention about the Yes Group. You were chairman of the Yes Group. So my friend Sonia Morton Firth has Sonia's been involved in the Yes Group for some time. So just give me a little bit of background on what it does and if people are interested, where they can find out.
Absolutely. I highly suggest you check out the Yes Group, which is a personal development community, one of the largest personal development communities in the country. And what it does, they have, prior to COVID, they run monthly personal development events, in-room seminar events, where they have great speakers come along and give great education and empowerment. As I think through the COVID situation, they've been doing a lot of stuff online. And so in 2000, when was it now? I think it's 2009 or 2008, 2009, 2010. For a couple of years, I led that organization. Which is run by a good friend of mine, Carl Pearsall, who founded the Yes Group, must be close to more than 25 years ago. Okay. And remember when I said I was struggling and really trying to figure things out and I was broke, I came across the Yes Group. Oh, interesting. And every single month I would go into that seminar room and I'll hear speakers like Mark Victor Hansen and Bob Proctor, and I'll hear all these speakers, and eventually they're talking about the same thing. If you want more success, you've got to do this, this, and this. And it became a pattern, and all those things helped me. And so if you're going through any kind of struggle on a personal or professional level, check out the Yes Group, yesgroup.org.uk, I think it is. And great bunch of people. And the whole thing is, because it's so community-based, everybody wants to help you. Yeah. everybody wants to help you move forward. It's not about, so there's two key mantras that they have. It's all about growth and contribution. Growth and contribution. So you growing and you able to contribute to humanity, to wider society, to help other people. So I believe in that mission as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic group. It's a fantastic group. So you're also the founder of Mindspace Coaching.
Yeah.
So two-pronged questions is, tell me a little bit about your own coaching. And the other question is, do you have a coach at the moment?
Very good. Good question. So Mindspace Coaching is my coaching and training company. So it's through Mindspace Coaching that we run our boot camps, run our retreats, and we have a bank of coaches internationally as well who coach our clients on a mentoring basis or coaching package basis. And so I love the whole purpose of Mindspace Coaching, because it's designed to help entrepreneurs and business owners to be more, become more, achieve more, get better results, make more money, and above all, have more freedom to do the things that they really want to do as well. So I believe in the whole essence of coaching. I have a couple of coaches who coach me, who I listen to, who helped me greatly. So,
I'm telling me what areas they help you in.
One helps me on the business front, and the other one helps me on the mindset front, if you like. Because every day, as you know, as an entrepreneur, one day you could be on top of the world. Everything is swimmingly well. You feel on top of the world. You feel like you're a legend in your own mind. And then the next day or the next month, thinks, why isn't everything? And so my mindset coach, she just looks at me, asks me questions, and just by her asking the right questions, it gets me to re-look at the same situation differently and make better decisions.
Right.
My business coach, although I'm a business coach, looks at areas that sometimes I haven't seen. And because it's accountability based, I start moving forward. And so they're challenging me on certain numbers, or they're challenging me on what does this mean, or what does that, why am I making those decisions? And so for me, anytime I want to achieve something at the next level, I find the right coach to help me to do that. So in the past, I've had health coaches, I've had nutrition coaches. So about 4 years ago, I had a nutrition coach and health coach who, because I was traveling so many thousands of miles every single month, and I started getting tired. I was thinking, why am I tired? And she looked at it and said, maybe it's your diet. And so I cut out, eventually looking at her, analyzing whatever, I cut out, I became a pure plant-based eater, so pure vegan. So I cut out meat, chicken, fish, all this kind of stuff. And at the age of 50 now, and I feel like I'm 25 or 30 again. It's so much vibrancy, and that's come through coaching, because yes, it would have taken me a long time to figure it out, but she got to the point of what it is. So now I feel more vibrant, more optimal in my health as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So and I've been studying martial arts for so many years. So Grandmaster Trevor Nichols is my kick butt physical instructor. So for me, that's coaching and mentoring in that space where, because for me, it's a holistic thing. It's not just about having success in business or having success in money, but I want to live holistically, whereby my health is good, family is good, my relationship with my wife is great, my physical conditioning is great. So for me, it's not about succeeding in one area and the other area suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're coming to the end of the interview. I ask the same 6 questions to every person that I interview. They are quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. It's up to you. First question is, what's the best decision that you made?
Marrying my wife 20 years ago. We celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary this year. She's made me a better person in character, in virtue, in habits. So I'm very grateful for that.
Good decision. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Best piece of advice I've been given, which has helped a great deal, is if you're presented an opportunity, say yes and then figure it out. Because I'll tell you,
Branson quote, isn't it?
Absolutely. But one thing I had an opportunity years ago to do a big thing in another country, and there was one little thing I thought, oh, maybe because of this one little thing, I don't think I'm ready. And in hindsight, after the thing had finished, I thought, I could have done that. So one of my coaches in those days said, what have you learned from that? Okay, when the opportunity comes, say yes, grab it, and then figure the rest of it out.
Okay, excellent. Who's helped you most in your career?
Cool. The gentleman by the name of Blair Singer. Blair Singer, who's I don't know if you've heard of Blair Singer. Blair Singer is best friends with Robert Kiyosaki. They've been best friends for over 30 years.
Okay.
So Blair Singer trained me in coaching and training and helping really me finding what my true passion is in helping other people. So he's written a book. He's written several books, actually, international bestseller. One of his books is called Sales Dogs. One's called Little Voice Mastery. So he's helped me a great deal in terms of my training, speaking, coaching career.
Awesome.
In the last 10 years.
Do you have any regrets?
No. If you had asked me that 15 years ago, I would say yes. Now what I've come to realize, I've got no regrets, because everything that I've suffered, everything I've gained, every success, every failure was actually supposed to happen that way.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. And so I have no regrets at all.
Awesome. What are you most proud of?
Wow. You really go for my children. I think I would have said my wife, but I already mentioned my wife. That's why I hesitated. My children, because I think they're growing up. My eldest is 19, then we have a 15-year-old, and we have a 13-year-old. And they're all growing up to be very responsible, caring, well-mannered children. So for me, that was important, that they grow up to make a difference, or they actually become a contributing factor to society rather than a hindrance. So I'm very proud of my family and my children.
What does legacy mean to you?
Thank you, Mark. Wow, you are deep. Having my work continue in my absence. So when I think about Jim Rohn, and you would have heard of Jim Rohn, who's no longer with us, rest in peace, his work continues because people are still referencing him. So legacy for me means that if my time on this earth is to inspire, educate, and empower people to live a life of joy, courage, passion, and purpose, which is what I do, how does that continue when I'm not here? And that's why I write books. That's why I've got online programs. That's why I do what I do, because then if I was to change your life and you were then able to create the lifestyle that you wanted, and you were able to affect your community, your society, your people, your family, and they become good because of that, and you say, oh, because Mac said this, or Mac helped me with that, I don't need any rewards for it, but I do want to make a significant difference to others.
They're the questions, but I've got an additional question. So you said about legacy, about having businesses basically outlast you and continue when you're not here anymore. Is that why? Is that what you've done in your other businesses, that you come out of operational and you've employed people to do the more operational stuff, and you might be more strategic, more?
Yeah, I'll answer that in a moment. For what I did say, I didn't mention business. I said to have my work
Your work. Okay.
My work. So that's why I write books and all the rest of it. In terms of the businesses, yeah, I mean, there was a time when I was a lot more operational. That every business at the beginning, you have to be operational. There is no, until you've figured out how to, what the right systems and processes to put in place and get the right team to follow that. And that takes time. And we teach that in my boot camps and my retreats. And once you can do that, then you can step away. So, and so for me, in creating business assets, that has to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. But the legacy part is more around my work and my influence on others in order for them to sustain and have a better quality of life or better businesses.
Awesome. And where can people find you?
Just type my name into wherever your social media platform. Well, you know, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all that. So I've got lots of free YouTube videos, and LinkedIn I'm on. I think we connected there. And so, and on Facebook, actually, on my Facebook page, I have a group on Facebook called the Business Success Club. And so if you type in Facebook Business Success Club or Mac Attram, you can come into that group. There are hundreds of people in there where I'm giving free information, free advice, free templates, free stuff, and answering questions around business as well. And so for me, it's give, and some of those become clients, so which is fine.
Excellent. So thank you, Mac. Thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating speaking to you. Been brilliant. There's still a couple of questions which we never got to, so maybe a second interview at a later stage.
Sure, I'm here, so it fits in my mission, so just let me know when. So Mark, it's been a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Mac.
You're welcome. Take care.
One last thing before you go, I am taking on new coaching clients. So if you are interested, go to my website and go to absolutebusinessmindset.com. Go down to the bottom onto contact us and drop me a note. Put in the title that it's for coaching. I've got 13 years worth of corporate experience where I've moved through promotions. I'm really looking for people that are starting their career in the corporate environment, are stalling in their career, or want a fresh perspective or a change in role. I'll be able to help all you guys that are in those sorts of positions, and I'm here to be able to help. So go to absolutebusinessmindset.com, down to the bottom, contact us, and just drop in the subject that you want to help on coaching. Thanks.
As a small business owner, you're always running to a meeting, running errands, running out of time. Now, one thing you don't have to worry about is running payroll. Meet Roll by ADP, a first-of-its-kind chat-based payroll app that's powered by AI. Roll is the faster, easier, smarter payroll app, so don't overthink it and say hello to a whole new way to payroll. Download the Roll by ADP app today or go to getroll.com/chat. That's GETROLL.com/CHAT.